So here you are, and here we are, and here you are, and here your inner beings are. And all you have to do is get a sense of this vibrational relativity and then make a decision that nothing is more important to you than that you feel good. And then bit by bit, and we really mean that, bit by bit, incrementally work your way up the emotional scale. The emotional scale goes from despair or depression all the way up to ecstasy or bliss or joy. And the frequency between joy and depression, the vibrational frequencies, are very different. And you can tell that they're different because when you feel joy, you know how that feels. When you feel depression or despair, you know how that feels. That's your indicator of the vibrational variances or the differences in the frequencies. So brilliant teachers like Joseph Campbell, there have been many, say to you, follow your bliss. And we say, good idea. Except sometimes you can't even get a whiff of bliss. And law of attraction doesn't help you find bliss when you're in despair. Law of attraction only allows you or divvies out to you or provides for you more things that are pretty close to where you're already vibrating. So if something has happened and it's gotten your attention and you're feeling pretty awful about it, that vibration is active within you and you can't receive what's happening over here. That's why when your Abraham friends come to you and say, don't you know you create your own reality? You need to cheer up. You want to say to them, it's not possible I create my own reality or you'd be gone. Because their bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, fluffy, in-your-face vibration is just plain annoying when you're in a different place on the vibrational scale. You can't hear them and they can't hear you, and you should not be playing together. Really, you should not. Because the person who is in joy, unless they are able and willing to adjust their vibration way down to meet you, that's the misery loves company thing. Or unless you can somehow bring your vibration up to meet them, you two don't have anything to talk about and you shouldn't even be together. Nice to know, isn't it? Well, here we have a room full of teachers who think that that word is synonymous with servants. Shouldn't I provide the service that I was born to provide? Don't I owe it to the downtrodden to bring them out of it? And we say, of course you are uplifters. But balancing your energy is what you are here about. And those who will benefit by your balanced energy, source energy and law of attraction will point in your direction. And so when they show up in your experience, they're there for a reason. But the reason is not for you to meet them in their lower vibration. It's for them to have an opportunity to join you in your higher vibration. So your best work and your best service to those who surround you is to get as tuned in, tapped in, turned on as you can, get in vibrational alignment with who you are, and let law of attraction match you up. And when someone shows up in your experience, do your best to maintain your vibrational alignment. In other words, don't try to factor a third thing into the vibrational relativity. Are you getting this? Because there are only two factors that you can synthesize or adjust or massage or understand. And when you try to factor in what somebody else is living, now you're attempting the impossible. Do you believe that you get to choose? Do you believe that you have the power or the ability to choose? Do you know nobody else can choose for you? Nobody can get inside of you. Nobody else could even begin to understand the vibrational relativity between where you are and where you want to be. Nobody's walked in your footsteps. Nobody's been there incrementally as you've launched those rockets. But Source Energy has, and oh, the future that is aligning for you. People say, be careful what you wish for, you might get it. We say, every wish that you have ever offered is out there pulsing and waiting for you. You've just got to find alignment with it, you see. So, why don't you know that? Why is it not as easy for you to get this as it is for us to get this? Besides the fact that we're really, really very smart. You are too. But the difference is, here in your physical form, 99% more than 99%, almost all, 99.999999% of every creation is complete before you see any physical evidence of it at all. So there's a lot of vibrational alignment that takes place before manifestation begins to appear in your experience. And that's a very good thing. That provides you this wonderful buffer of time where you can get into alignment. But what that means is, right now, we really want you to hear this, right now, in the way you feel and the attitude, the mood, right now the way you feel is your indicator of exactly what manifestations you are moving toward. Now, there's a lot of them out there. Some you really like when they get here. Some of them you're not going to like so much when they get here. You're creating all of them. And the way you feel is your indicator of what you're closing the gap on. In other words, there are people who right now are sick, who have cleaned up their vibration, who are moving away from sickness to wellness. And even though the manifestation of the wellness is not apparent yet, because 99% of the vibration is in place before it is apparent, they're moving in the right direction. And they know it because their emotions are saying to them things like joy and love and appreciation. In other words, they're feeling good. But there could be a person with no physical evidence of illness in their body moving swiftly or actively toward a manifestation of an illness, and they don't know it yet. They're on the path toward illness. They don't know it unless they know that anger, fear, depression are indicators of the direction that they are moving. So people say the oddest thing, odd to us anyway, they say, it just came out of nowhere. And we say, no, it didn't. It didn't come out of nowhere. You practiced the vibration of it hard and long. This is a wonderful buffer of time you've got going here, where you have to solidify a vibration pretty well. Then people say, well, then why are children born with deficiencies? And we say, well, first of all, you don't know that it wasn't their intention, and you cannot compare what you are wanting with what anyone else is creating. But we know that's a hard one to swallow. Why would anyone want something that I don't want? And we say, it's a diverse universe. You didn't come here to be the same. You came here in your differences to provide a well-stocked kitchen to allow others and yourselves opportunities to define and decide what you want. You did not say, I will come forth into the physical and I will take all the ideas that exist and whittle them down to a few good ideas. You said, I'll come forth into a diverse environment and we will expand the ideas still further. We will expand the ingredients. You say, I think that ingredient should be removed from the kitchen because I don't want it in my pie. And we say, then don't put it in your pie. And you say, but it shouldn't be in the kitchen because it might get in my pie. We say, it won't get in your pie if you don't put it in your pie. You say, somebody else might put it in my pie. We say, nobody else has access to your pie. Then you say, well, then how did those things I don't want in my pie get in my pie? We say, because you were focused upon other people putting things you didn't want in your pie in their pie, and you put it in your pie. Oh, you mean just giving my attention to something puts it in my pie? Now you're cooking. Now you're getting the sense of how you're making your pie. You do not need to remove things you do not want from this environment in order to live joyfully, but we certainly understand how it is that you feel that you need to, because if you are among the millions of people on the planet who still don't get it that you are vibrational in nature and that law of attraction is bringing things to you that match your vibration, we know that when you look at a circumstance that pleases you, you would like to promote more of that, and when you look at a circumstance that doesn't please you, you would like to stop that. But we want you to understand that in this vibrational-based universe, there is no such thing as exclusion. So when you say no to that thing that you do not want, you're actually putting it in your pie. When you say yes to something, you include it. When you say no to something, you include it because your attention to it activates it in your vibration, and that's how it gets in your pie. So we can understand how when you look around and you see things you don't want, like diseases or terrorists or anything that is unwanted, and you shout no at it, you would like it to go away. We know you would. We don't blame you at all. We just want to help you to understand that your attention to it causes an activation of it in your vibration. And when something is active in your vibration, you're moving toward it. It is just as simple as that. Don't fret about it. You have a huge buffer of time between the activation of something and the manifestation of something. And there's one more very significant point that we want to make to you. You are source energy embodied in these physical bodies. Well-being is the basis of all that you are. You don't have to work hard for well-being. You just have to stop doing that thing you're doing that is not allowing the well-being. There's not a source of well-being and a source of evil. You don't walk into a room and look for the dark switch on the wall. You don't expect to find some switch that causes a dark mist to cover the light. You know that you can turn the knob or push the button or flip the switch that resists the light, but the light is the source, and you're either allowing it or you're not. There's not a source of evil. There's not a source of sickness. There's only well-being, which you are letting in or not. And then you say, well, then where did the sickness come from? Where did the evil come from? Where did the not good come from? And we say, you get fixated on things you don't want. You activate it in your vibration. You beat the drum of it. You make a big deal about it. You join groups about it. You spread the news about it. Turn on your television and ask yourself, where does this stuff come from? You can't watch the Weather Channel without being indoctrinated with all of the deficiencies of your physical body. In other words, there are so many people who still believe that they can push hard enough against this thing that they do not want that they can make it go away. And we want you to understand they're just putting it in their pie, and they're just causing you to think about it until you've got it in your pie, and then they'll say, see, we told you it was a problem. And we say it's only a problem if it's active in your vibration. If it's not active in your vibration, it cannot touch you in any way, you see. So those well-meaning people, or maybe not so well-meaning people, maybe they've figured it out. Maybe they've figured out that the population is more willing to look at the things that they feel that they need to push against than they are willing to look at the things that they are wanting. And we say that has been a trend that is shifting. It is shifting powerfully in your environment today. Fewer people are watching television today than ever before. And the reason, well, not than ever before, but then from the peak. In other words, before there was television, no one was watching it. But then you got really good at watching it, and now you are pulling away from it because more and more of you are beginning to recognize, hey, I don't feel as good when I do this as I do when I don't. And so more and more people's own guidance systems, even though they are not fully understanding them, are guiding them toward their own lives and what they can manage and what they can do about. And we want you to understand that when you discover that you are the creator of your own reality, and that the way you live is only about the vibrational integrity between you and you, between what you've launched and how you feel right now, and when you make a decision and you begin speaking a mantra that says, nothing is more important than that I feel good, and then you add to it what we're giving you here today, which is, I'm going to do my best to find the best feeling thought that I have available to me right now. I'm not going to demand bliss from despair. I'm not going to even demand bliss from frustration. Not now, not right now, this red hot minute. I'm just going to reach for the best feeling thought that I can find. If I'm angry, I'm going to find something that feels a little less angry, because for me now, the relief factor is the new thing that I've got my finger on the pulse of. I'm going to begin to pay attention to what thoughts that I can think that can take the tension away from me, that can take the tension of fear or the tension of anger or the tension of not believing, the tension of yearning, even the tension of hoping. There's tension in hoping, isn't there? Because you want something that you don't really believe you can get, but you want it. There's tension in that. There's a sort of tug of war that is indicated to you by your emotions. One last thing, and then we'll talk to you about anything you want to talk about. It's good to make peace with where you are for a number of reasons. When you make peace with where you are, you improve the vibration of it right away, which moves you more swiftly to where you really want to be. When you make peace with where you are, you come immediately into vibrational alignment with what's being held for you in vibrational escrow, and those things begin to move into your experience right away. But the biggest reason that we want you to make peace with where you are is because you are physical fiends, and we, your non-physical fiends, friends, fiends, same difference, will always be incomplete. So the contrast is going to cause you to launch a rocket of desire, which at first you will not be a vibrational match to. But then you're going to deliberately reach for thoughts that feel better until you become a vibrational match to this new rocket of desire, and now it's going to manifest. And now you're going to be standing on a new platform with a new set of contrasting experiences, which is going to launch another rocket of desire, which at first you're not going to be a match to. But you're going to work your way up the emotional scale until you become a vibrational match to it, and then it's going to manifest. And now you're going to be standing on a new platform, which will give birth to another rocket of desire. Decide today that you're going to do your best to make peace with where you are, which means talk about all of the reasons that is as good as it is. Play it up.